Hello everybody. Welcome to another DVD, The Stories Untold episode, and today we're talking about college stuff
College prep. Yeah.
with Mr. Omar here.
Special guest, Omar.
Yeah.
What is
So I'm
yourself?
Omar Sanchez. I'm the intervention specialist here at Da Vinci Design. And yeah, so I have a school counseling credential, so hopefully I can shed some light on some of these questions that you have to share.
All right. So kind of starting off, do you guys plan on going to college after high school?
For me myself, I plan on going to college, but I plan on going to community college, and I don't plan on staying there that long because I'm trying to be a firefighter. So they have to do certain things to become a firefighter, like get my EMT certificate, participate in the fire academy and stuff like that.
How about you, Devin?
Yeah, I plan to go to out-of-state college. I plan to go to Oregon for Portland State.
Okay. Yeah, I plan to go out of state as well to Arizona. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I feel like you guys have your pathway. You want to grab it or?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, you guys have your own pathway
That's
okay.
fine.
And well, I'm obviously older than everyone here, so I actually went straight to Long Beach after high school. I went to Cal State Long Beach for 4 years. Then after that, I took about a year or two off, and then I went back to grad school. So I got my school counselor credential from Long Beach as well. So I was at Long Beach for almost, six and a half years of school.
Man, well, that's a long time. What was it like for you at Long Beach?
It was fun. It was fun. It was the first 2 years were a learning experience, right? You're new to the campus. You had to get that new group of friends. You have to pretty much be independent, enroll yourself in classes, right? Kind of get a sense of what the school is like, what the culture is, and it was difficult those first 2 years. But then, as time goes on, I feel like you get acclimated, and same thing as high school, right? Freshman year, you're kind of new. You don't know what's going on. And then after that, sophomore and junior year, it eases up, and you formulate yourself with the culture of the school, and I feel like that's what happened to me, so I hope it happens for you guys, right? It's a learning experience the first year, and then after that, you're on your own, right?
Yeah. Do you miss Long Beach?
Yes, because I think it only gets even more difficult as you get older, right? You want to leave high school, but then once you get to college, the work experience, once you join a trade program, that's an entity in itself. It gets even more difficult. Then you want to graduate college, you want to, start working and get your own place, get your own car, etc. But then it gets even more difficult because now you're an adult. And being an adult in itself is even more difficult than anything you've done before. So I think, it's different. I do like it. I have my independency, but it only gets more difficult. That's all.
Yeah, I have a job right now, and I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see a little bit of it. Any advice you can give to the people about FAFSA and stuff?
FAFSA, I would just say just complete it as soon as possible, right? Senior year comes, I think it opens up with October, right?
October 1st.
October it opens up. So if you can get it done then and now, the beginning October, I think that's your best bet, because as time goes on, you can just make edits to it, and it's a lot easier to make those edits as you go on. So I think I completed just because my siblings were aware of it, but I completed as soon as I could. And if you ever need to add an extra school, if you ever need to change some financial information, etc., you have time from October to May to March to make those edits. So I think do it as soon as you can, get it out the way, and I think you'll be in good shape.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say, especially for fast food. I think I did it like first day or like first week. I just got it out of the way, like you said, and then just kind of like blanked my mind, kind of just focusing on like the applications for the schools, and just like not having to worry about this extra step. of the FAFSA, which is pretty much like free money for your colleges, pretty much.
Yeah, it is going to be free money. When I was doing it, it kept logging me out, and I had to redo it like multiple times, like the whole sign-in process and stuff. And I was to the point where I was like, man, do I really need to complete my FAFSA application and stuff? But guys, it's free money, even if it's kicking you out and stuff. Guys, you just gotta have to, just keep on doing it, even if it kicks you out, and eventually you are going to get it set up. But it is free money, so guys, just keep in mind your FAFSA is pretty important.
Other free money options are like scholarships as well. What do you have to say about scholarships?
Quite similar to FAFSA, right? It's free money. And, quote unquote, I got federal and Pell Grants, free money, scholarships. Same thing, if you're, let's say, want to join a criminal justice major, there's criminal justice scholarships, right? If you want to be in, liberal arts, there's scholarships under that college. So there's so many out there that you can even look into, whether, let's say, if you're, Latin American, let's say you're African American, there's scholarships for you just being, African American or Latino, etc. So you really have to, look for those. But once again, they're all out there. Pretty much at every single college that my friends have participated in, there's scholarships for those, certain people. So I think you guys should definitely look into it. I got a scholarship. It was not much, but I think it was like $250 just for applying for a liberal arts scholarship. And $250 is $250. That could pay for maybe 3-4 classes of books. That's a whole semester. So you just gotta actively look on school portals, and that's where you're going to find it. But yeah, that's pretty much, once again, free money, like you said, right?
Yeah, so there's pretty much scholarships for pretty much anything out there, really, right? Like,
yeah.
So like even like your grades matter.
Yeah,
right?
A GPA, if you're honor roll student, straight A's, there's scholarships for that. Obviously, you're an athlete, there's scholarships for being an athlete, etc. So there's a lot out there, and it's not just has to be tied in with like an entity at school. It could even be some type of nonprofits provide scholarships as well. But you just have to search for those. Those are not really just kind of shared with you or given. You have to actually go on Google. You have to go on Google, search them, and try and find those set scholarships for you.
Oh, speaking on schools, guys, your grades are important. So some schools, based off you have a high enough GPA, you're automatically accepted. Like no matter what, you're automatically accepted because you have like a 3.5 or some cases a 3.0. You're automatically accepted into the school. So keep in mind when you're applying for colleges, like think in the future, let's say 9th grade, 10th grade, that your grades really do matter. So like try to focus well in school, because some colleges you're automatically accepted if you have a high enough GPA. This is for something for you to remember.
Yeah, kind of like we touched on in a previous episode, where like every grade in high school, it does matter, right? Keep your grades up, keep your academic grades up, not only for scholarships to get that free money, but to even apply to colleges, right? If you're like, let's say at like a 1.0, like most colleges that like maybe you want to go to this college, they're probably not going to accept you because you have like such a low GPA. So like keep your grades up and have that higher acceptance rate for you to like probably get into those colleges that you want to get into.
Yeah. Mr. Omar, so how important is it to keep a good academic record in high school and for college admissions?
I think that's pretty much the most important thing that we have. Obviously, that's pretty much what all colleges are going to end up looking at, right? Your GPA, your grades. But with that being very important, I still think you should be involved in the extracurricular activities, whether that's sports, whether that's leadership. If you're part of like some committee on school, that's something good that would boost your application as well. Don't get me wrong, you still have to reflect on those grades, and like you mentioned, your GPA matters, right? Keeping that academic standing from freshman year to senior year is very important, but I still think to complement that, you also want to be part of extracurricular activities, and I think that's going to amplify your application. But to be competitive, obviously the GPA has to be there.
So what are some important factors that colleges look for in your applications? I know you were touched on extracurricular activities like being part of sports, but any other things that you think would be good for people, like volunteering experience or stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, even for these exhibition projects, just I know some students are volunteering, like at a food pantry. You could do that. Being part of like Latino Student Union is something that's you can be part of. Let's say, even being part of the leadership team at Da Vinci Design. So it's just exposing yourself to, different roles and not just that academic role, but also pushing yourself to be part of something that's going to, benefit you. And I'm sure some of you here, right, are part of something on campus. Name something.
Yeah, I'm part of choir.
Yeah, so that's something that's going to amplify your application, right? Anyone else here is part of anything? Maybe advisory, helping out with leadership, etc. I don't know.
So like me and a couple friends, we started like a video game club, and we'd kind of just do that after school. So
yeah, once again, that's something that you could put on your resume, right? You're established a video game club, and you were the person to advocate for that and be that change agent on campus. So that's an count towards your application as well. So I just think students don't see that they're doing something and making a change, but in reality, like, that's something that you can apply to a college application that you probably won't necessarily think of, but it's going to help you for sure.
Mr. Omar, do you think our SAT scores are the SAT matters? Because they told me when I was taking the test that they're not really looking for it, but it is going to help. Like, but for you, in your opinion, do you think it matters?
So we're gonna take rewind a little bit. When I was in high school back in 2010 to 2014, that was a big thing. If you're going to a four-year university, you want to take the SAT. You want to take the practice SAT to get ready for the SAT. So it was big, yes. But fast forwarding now, it's a lot different. I think post-COVID, they didn't require you to take the SAT or any of those tests. But I'm not knocking it down. I feel like if you're an individual who tests well, if you're someone who is going to get a high score in that, I feel like you should do it. I encourage that, because then colleges are still going to look, oh, this individual got a super high score. That's going to impact their admission, and it might get them into a target school that they potentially want to get into. So I'm not going to knock it down, but I encourage students to take it. If you're a good test taker, go for it.
Do you think, sorry to cut you off, but do you think they're actually going to make it mandatory again, or you think that it's going to be like optional from this point forward?
I think it might be optional, in my opinion. I think they're going to stick with that. One side was saying it wasn't equitable for all students. Others were saying it was a good baseline for students. But in my opinion, I think that balance of the two sides is just going to continue to be optional, in my opinion. But you never know. Maybe in 2, 3, 4 years, they might change that. But I'm hoping that, in my opinion, I hope it stays optional.
Yeah, I think definitely taking it, like, if you know you can get a high score, is definitely it definitely boosts your probability of getting into those schools. But correct me if I'm wrong, if you know this, I think Ivy League schools, like, if you still want to go to those, I think they might still require it, or it's just like highly preferred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's highly preferred. Yeah.
But it might still
mandatory.
Yeah, it's either mandatory or like highly preferred for those Ivy League schools like MIT and Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if those are the schools you want to go to, then yeah, probably take the SAT and definitely look into each college and like see what their application process is like, to see and know what you want to do or what you have to do for those.
So, Mr. Omar, any advice for students to help build relationships with counselors like yourself and teachers and stuff?
Yeah, I would just say, don't be that student to, feel embarrassed to ask for help. Educators are here to help you, and we want you to get to that next step, right? So sometimes if you don't ask for help, what happens?
You don't get no help.
You don't get no help, right? So I would just say, you know, make time to meet with your counselors, right? Go over your academics, maybe research some colleges you wish to apply to, trade programs, if you want to join the workforce, right? So it's just take some time aside out of your busy schedules just to meet with them, even teachers, let's say, right? They might be the ones to write you letter of recommendations. So maybe go to their office hours, maybe stop in before school or after school. Just, you know, build that rapport with them, and I think you're going to be in good shape moving forward, because you never know. Once you graduate high school, if you join, if you want an internship or you go the college route, you may need a letter of recommendation. Who's going to write that for you?
The counselors and teachers.
Counselors and teachers. So you want that rapport with them, and you don't want to build that up last minute your senior year, right? You want to start when?
Freshman year.
Freshman year. Start your freshman year and then build that rapport through sophomore, junior, and senior year. And by that time, it's going to be easy, right? When you ask them if you need a letter of recommendation or if you need a referral, hey, can you write one for me? Obviously formulated in a professional manner, but they're going to be willing to do it for you.
So the students that you have at Da Vinci, which ones do you have the strongest relationships with, and like how did that start, if you don't mind speaking on?
I would say there is, even across the board from 9 through 12th grade. I don't know, I just started the beginning of the school year, but I don't know, it's just there's no real you know, grade level where I gravitate towards more to. It's just kind of, it's an open book. I try to keep it that way. You know, there's students in every grade level that I support and I help, whether that's academically or social emotionally. So yeah, I couldn't give you like, oh, it's 9th grade only or it's 10th grade only. No, I think it's even across the board.
You know, going back to one of the topics that you said about like researching like the colleges, when do you think that like students or people should really start looking into like what they want to do, like as a career or like for a college? Like,
do you want to base on like a high school, or like, you know, sometimes you can even start in middle school, right? But if we're strictly focusing on high school, I think we are. I think it depends on you know, you as the individual. So I knew starting freshman year of high school that I wanted to go to a 4-year university, right? My siblings did the same, so I wanted to follow in their footsteps. I'm the youngest of 3, so I was already kind of researching that 9th grade, 10th grade, and then 11th grade, that's when I like actually dove into that. I was like, I'm gonna make it happen. I started researching different schools, you know, seeing what major I wanted to pursue. Not all colleges have every major, right?
Yeah.
It's very particular. So I think freshman year for me, on a personal note, but I know some people already started that middle school. So it just depends on the individual.
yeah, I wish I started earlier. I didn't really start thinking about college until like end of junior year or like start of senior year. Like, I wish I knew like which major I wanted to choose, or like I wish I knew I had like more time to think about it, because I'm still like on the fence about the major I chose. Like, I'm pretty sure this is what I want to do. I chose like applied physics. It's something that like really interests me, but I wish like I started thinking about it earlier so I can like narrow it down to this sooner, and like look at all the options and stuff. And especially for like colleges, which college I wanted to attend. Like, it was like I only had that year, senior year, to like really think about it, but I wish I started sooner. How about you guys?
Oh, speaking about colleges, Mr. Omar, how many colleges do you think students should apply for, or do you think it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you will have the schools you wish to apply to, right? I think I touch base, a lot of my students, I touch base on safety schools, I touch base on target schools, and then reach schools.
Can you go into detail about those sections?
Yeah, so safety schools are basically schools I know that I'm going to get into. and I'm going to have those options whether they're there or not, but they're going to be safety schools that I at least know I have that sense of comfort that I'm going to go to college. Then there's the safety target schools, which are schools that I should get into, right? And then there's those reach schools that maybe I don't have, maybe I have a 10, 15, 20% chance of getting into. So I kind of distributed mine into those three pools, where I had maybe 5 that I knew that I was always gonna, have a fallback on, and then I had those schools that I think I could get into, depending on my GPA and what maybe most of the Cal States, and then I had those reach schools. Maybe those, it could be those private schools, or there's UCs like UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, because at the time, those were my reach schools, right? So I would say personally, I applied to maybe between 8 and 12 schools, and that's what I stuck by. But once again, you can apply to as many as you want, right? But I stuck to the number between 8 to 12, and I knew some of my friends who applied to like 20, right? So it just varies by student and by individual.
Is there like a limit that you think that students should like cap out on? Because I know that there is like an application fee, right? Like just applying there is a cost.
Yeah.
It's like for like $70 or something, like depending on that. So it's like, is there like a limit that you think that students should pretty much stop at?
Once again, I feel like it's situational, depending on the student. But I mean, if you can afford, or if you can see yourself applying to maybe 10 plus schools, go for it. But I at least would say go with 5 or more schools, whether that's a community college, whether that's a Cal State, whether that's a UC, a private school, even a trade program, right? There's a lot of trade programs in Southern California. So I would just say I would go with 5. 5, the magic number of, that's the minimum.
So,
Yeah.
what are the common mistakes you've seen students make on their college applications?
I would say trying to complete them independently and just not asking for any help. Whether that's inputting your academics, whether that's reading your transcript, right? Sometimes you have to read your transcript and input the application, by looking at your transcript, or maybe your FAFSA. You have there's certain questions on there that can be very difficult to answer. So I would just say ask for help, right? There's many opportunities for students to make mistakes, and I just think that if you are not willing to ask for help or just clarification regarding this question, I think that's where the mistakes happen. When you're kind of 50-50 on this question, should I do this or should I do that? Those questions are the ones that probably are going to impact you the most. So I would just say get clarification from your school counselors if you can. But I can't give you like a particular one that I've seen like many students have hiccups on.
So for students that are thinking about going to trade school or community college, or just going straight into the workforce, what advice can you give to those people? Or like, I know you were a 4-year student, but like, what advice can you give to those people that are thinking about trade school or going in the workforce and stuff like that?
I think go for it. There's nothing else. There's no other way to put it. No one should be, kind of put in this pool to just go to Cal States or go to UCs or go to college bound. I feel like students should be given the autonomy to pursue those trade programs. If you want, pursue that college degree. If you just want to jump into the workforce, go for it. I just think sometimes schools push the agenda of like college, but not everyone's meant for that. And I think, I understand that. So I just think if you have each individual comes with their, certain perks. If you're really good and you want hands-on learning, go with that trade program, right? Maybe you're taking over a family business and you wish to grow that business, join the workforce and, go that route. If you want to join a specific major like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and that's what your niche is, and you're really good at that, go for it. So I just don't want to put certain students and push that agenda of go here or go this. I think it should be their decision, right? And if they want to join the military, go ahead. So that's just my opinion, right?
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, most like teachers or whatever, they always say like, oh, go to college. Like, what college are you going to? Like, not a lot of them say like, what trade school are you going to, or like, are you going to the workforce? Like, what are you doing? And I feel like here, I felt like a lot of counselors were pushing towards only Cal States or like colleges here in California. So I felt like I didn't get as much experience with like, what about out of state, right? Like, what's the process like for that? Because it is slightly different, right? So like, Devin, I know you're also going out of state. Like, what was it like for you? Because
For me, I can't do any of the FAFSA or apply for anything because I need, like a gap year to get in-state tuition, because out-of-state tuition is $30,000 where I want to go. And it's really hard to pay $30,000 a year and attempt to graduate within like the time slot, because at that point you're giving yourself like 4 years. You're giving yourself like the shortest time span so you don't bleed cash. So I have to take a gap year, try and become like a
resident?
Yeah, a resident of Oregon, in order to get into where I want to go, so I can get like $10,000 a year instead of $30,000 a year. And I feel like none of the counselors really said that.
Mm-hmm.
So once I learned of that, I had to basically drop what I was trying to do and figure out how to do that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my experience was.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people here are going to El Camino. So like, I felt like a lot of counselors were kind of like pushing that route, like helping, like, all right, how do you go to colleges here in California? Because I'm also going out of state, and like, I didn't really like fully know about the whole like tuition thing. Like, I knew it would be a little bit more, but I didn't fully know about it. So I'm still planning on going to where I'm going to, like ASU, but I might change up my plans, and I might go to a community college out there, get those like credits and get those first classes out of the way, as well as gaining residency, so I can still transfer in to that school. So that's kind of like what my plan is. And what about you, Shelby? You're going here, right?
Yeah, I'm going to El Camino. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to be a firefighter. So they got their fire academy program over there, and I think they got one at West LA, but I didn't see one. But some people at my church were telling me about it, so who knows? I may go there. But I know I'm trying to get into a fire academy, and El Camino has one, so that's what it looks like that I'm going. But Mr. Omar, when you were applying for your college applications, who helped you out?
Yeah, I would say I was very privileged of where I went to high school. I went to Santa Monica High School, and we had a college career center, and we also had, I believe, 2 or 3 college career counselors. So we had our counselors, but then we also had college career counselors. So they were strictly versed in, the college experience, the college, knowledge, and they gave you all the resources for that. We had college workshops that we had to attend. So it was mandatory. So in that sense, I was very exposed to that. So I know many students at many high schools don't have that. So I know I was, privileged in a sense to get the full experience of college career counselors, and they, like, soon before the deadline even started, or before the application even started, they already had that in our head. They had workshops, they had drop-in hours, they had computers inside of the college career center. So those are the counselors who helped me, my college career counselors. So they were well versed in it, and pretty much I just dropped in, started my application, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, here at this school, at Da Vinci, we have a college career readiness class, so that's definitely a time where you can get those like college applications through, and a time where you can ask for help. from like the teacher or those counselors. But like, what advice would you give to someone who is like trying to, how do I put this? Like plan out or organize their like deadlines, like when they apply,
Okay.
like how to stay organized.
Yeah. So definitely time management, right? Obviously, I think one of you mentioned earlier, I'm not sure who it was, but every application is different. Like a community college, a UC, a Cal State, and a private school. So depending on where you go, I would, just get those deadlines of when they are. We all know when the FAFSA deadlines are. It begins October, ends March 2nd. Try to get those individual schools and their deadlines written down on paper, and just go based on that, because some UCs, right, you need personal insight questions. Some private schools, they're going to have a different application where they require you to write or answer some of their questions that are given. So I think you have to give yourself ample time, and have those time management skills to give yourself that time to write those personal insight questions or respond to them, but also have time for maybe some teachers, school counselors to review those essays you write, because maybe they can give you some pointers on how to make it better, how to make it stronger. But I would say get your deadlines in line. Whether, I don't know, what do you guys use? Google Calendar? I don't know, written down on paper?
Honestly, I keep it buck with
old
you.
school pen and paper. What do you guys use?
I would be tracking nothing. I
Okay.
know based off memory. Sometimes I put it in my calendar, like, oh, I got to be somewhere like for an interview or something like that. But I barely do that.
Okay.
I'm bad at that.
Yeah, I use like a Google Calendar. I think it's very useful for like planning things out. Like get like a planner or something like that you can keep organized, especially with these deadlines. Like write them down, write each deadline down so you know how much time you have to do them. But do them early, right? Get them out of the way, and then get them like reviewed by someone to like, that way you have time to make those revisions,
Yeah.
right?
I would say what worked for me, I'm once again rewinding back to my high school days, I would get old pen and paper, have a calendar in my room. Sometimes looking at how many weeks ahead of time you have to finish this is something good. So let's say something was due May 31st. I would write, I don't know, college application due May 31st. And I would make sure I would have ample time before that to get it done, because especially your senior year, there's a lot of deadlines. Deadlines are crucial your senior year. So I would just maybe whatever works for you, whether that's a Google Calendar, having a planner, having a calendar in your room hung up and you write down notes on it, whatever works for you, I think is going to help you a lot. I think you should definitely work on that, right? So yeah, just I think it just varies by person.
Yeah, I mean, calendars and stuff, and planners, I would say that they're probably very useful for college as well, right? Not only like for deadlines especially, because I believe most colleges at the beginning of the year they'll give you like deadlines for like the final or something, and I think some advice would be to like write that deadline down so you know when it's due, right?
Definitely. And I mean, I can shed some light on like requirements. You're gonna be, once you go to college or you catapult to that setting, you're going to be pretty much your own person, making decisions on your own. It's very independent. So like you said, those deadlines are going to be strong deadlines. And if that essay or if that exam says Tuesday, May 15th at 2 p.m., there's pretty much no leeway unless there's an emergency, right? So that's why we try to teach right now the time management skills. The deadlines are important, because once you get to the college setting, there's no extensions. There's not going to be, hey, you were late today, or you couldn't find parking, right? It's not going to be that. It's like those deadlines are those deadlines, and I think that's why we're trying to instill it right now.
Yes, so speaking on that time management, so you would say start definitely now in high school, get those time management skills on lock pretty much.
Yep.
Because in college, pretty much you set your own schedule.
Yeah.
Like you set what days you're going to be doing what. And you're not going to have that pre-planned schedule like in high school, right? They tell you go to this class at this time, and then this one, and then lunch, and then you have these classes. No, it's going to be pretty much you say when you have a class, right? Oh, you want it in the morning, you want it at night, you want it on Monday, you want it on Wednesday, right? Like whatever it may be, you got to have to set your own schedule, be like pretty much on your own in knowing like how to time management yourself and be accountable for that, right?
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. So counselors make schedules for you. You're going to be your own counselor. At Long Beach, we had a Long Beach portal. I would prepare ahead of time what my classes would be. So if I was taking 5 classes, it's almost like you're shopping, right? When you go to Zara, you put some stuff in your shopping cart and it's ready. It's ready to buy. That's what we do for classes. You put that in your shopping cart. It's ready to access those class and enroll. Once you're given that deadline, I was given, let's say, March 2nd at 5 p.m. I would log on to my portal and enroll in those classes, right? So technically, yes, I could meet with an advisor beforehand, but at the end of the day, who's enrolling in those classes? I was. So I would say that's planning in itself. Meet with an advisor. Sometimes it's difficult to get in a meeting with an advisor. Sometimes it's weeks down the line. You can't just drop in and say, hey, I need to meet with you regarding my classes. Nope. Plan ahead of time, schedule an appointment, get the classes you need so you're ready for that appointment date.
Oh, speaking of which, when we went to this tour in El Camino, they told us that they don't really care if you walk out of class or like if you leave, or if you leave and never come back like they do in high school. Like what Matthew and Mr. Omar touched on, you're pretty much by yourself and on your own. And if you go to a 4-year, they don't really care even more because you still have to pay for those classes. Or either way, the professors are still getting paid, the school is still getting paid. And if you don't want to show up, it's pretty much all in your own responsibility. So you can pretty much do whatever you want. So it's going to be your best interest to like actually focus.
Yeah, and like we touched on in a previous episode about like work balance and like being accountable for yourself. Like some colleges or like some teachers or professors, they actually do care about your attendance. But some colleges and professors, you can not show up at all and just show up for a final and they won't care. But like keep accountability for yourself, show up to those classes and actually learn something from them, so because you are paying for them, so might as well go to them, I would say. And also for classes and deadlines and being accountable for yourself, if I'm not mistaken, you have to pretty much enroll for certain professors and classes, right? So do pretty much all of your assignments or like anything you can as soon as you can. That way you can get priority over them. Because like I said, for professors, some of the classes, they're going to be booked, right? Some students are going to want to go to those professors first, and then you're going to be left with probably the classes that nobody wants, if I'm not mistaken.
And then another thing I want to touch base on, we spoke about, building those relationships with teachers, counselors, and staff in high school, right? But now, what happens when you go to the college setting? What do you want to do? It's the same thing, right? Get to know your professors. So if you're not in class, if you don't go to class, or if you don't make an effort to meet those professors, are they going to be able to write you a letter of recommendations? Are they actually going to get to really know you as a student? So that falls back to the question we spoke about. Now you're going to have to translate that over into the college setting and get to know those professors. Because when I applied for grad school, I had to have 2 professors write me a letter of recommendations. It was easy for me because I went to their office hours. I knew a lot of professors on campus. I built those relationships and that rapport with them. But some of my other friends, they didn't think they were going to go to grad school, but then they ended up applying, and they had no professors to fall back on. It was very difficult to find those professors on campus to write those letter of recs for them because they did not know them as a person. So you guys can apply that to your college setting as well.
Oh, so for college and recommendations, what questions are on there when you write those? Like, what do you exactly do put on that?
The letters of recommendations they write for you.
Yeah.
Usually they pretty much formulate it themselves, but I share a little bit of more about myself. Maybe I share my resume, right? I'll share my resume with them. I maybe in my email that I write to them, I write down my extracurricular activities that I'm part of, so they can have a better sense of what I do. But for the most part, they reflect on how you were in the class, grade in the course. Maybe they reflect on some internship hours you had to do. But in general, it's mostly they formulate it themselves, and you kind of supply them with a little bit more additional information they could write about. So, and some of them you can't read, right? Some of them, if they're letter of recommendations, they'll just get passed on to, let's say, a supervisor that's requesting them, or a job application that's asking for them. So sometimes you can't even read them. But for the most part, if you have that rapport with that professor, they're gonna write you a good one.
Yeah, so any final advice that you would give to high schoolers who are wanting to go to college, or any advice that you'd want to give that maybe you didn't have yourself, or you think that it's just really good advice that you think you
I would say really get to know yourself and what you are good at, and then pursue something in that field, right? Some people pretty much like to chase the money, right? And it's a job that's going to pay you well, that's going to pay you, I don't know, $1 million a year, and you're going to chase that, but are you really getting self-fulfillment, self-satisfaction for that? Probably not. So I think if you pursue something, do something that you have been doing your whole life and you feel like you're really good at and you enjoy doing, and also get paid for it, right? So just pursue something that you enjoy, and then go for it. Whether that's you can get that from a community college, you can get that from a Cal State, UC, joining the workforce, military, the route. You can do whatever you want. Fire academy. So just do what you want to do and pursue it. Don't try and have others put this agenda on you. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. It should be something personal for you.
How about you guys? Any advice that you wish you had?
Well, we kind of touched on this in other episodes, but I really wish they actually said ninth grade was important and 10th grade was important, because they did not say that at all. They said ninth grade didn't matter and stuff. And looking back on it, I really wish that I took ninth grade more seriously. I did take it seriously, but if they actually said, oh, you're actually going to need this this year, I would have took it. That would give me that extra push to take it more seriously. But that's one thing I want you guys to know: take ninth grade seriously. Take all your grades seriously, because in the end, they really are going to matter. What about you, Devin?
Yeah, I'd agree with the ninth grade thing. I wish I knew also that ninth grade was really important, because in the end, your transcript's a cumulative GPA, meaning ninth grade's included in that, 10th grade's in it, 11th and 12th. So it doesn't matter just about 12th. You need to have, at least maintain at least decent grades the whole time, so you get the GPA you want. And lastly, I wish I knew the full process of out-of-state, because out-of-state tuition cost is really a very big thing, because it's a huge difference. $30,000 versus $10,000, a 3-time difference. And in college, you're going to be working around a budget. How long can I realistically stay there without making a huge amount of debt? So I wish I knew that, the full process, because out-of-state really made the decision for me to make a gap year to get to where I want to go.
Yeah, I'd say, for me, it's kind of the opposite. In middle school, I was always told that ninth grade mattered, every grade mattered. So I don't know really where you guys were hearing that. But
I heard it from my counselors, unless she's not here no more, but that's where I heard it from.
Yeah, I was always told that it mattered. So as soon as I got to high school, I was really trying to get those good grades. But like some advice that like I wish I knew, or like I kind of like applied to like myself, was like join those extracurricular activities, get that experience out there, to like really help me with those applications. Because like when I was writing them, I'm like, all right, what happened in my life that like I could talk about on these personal insight questions, like about yourself, right? Like what do I write about, and like just share those experiences that I had. But I think we're gonna end it up here. Thanks for watching. Join us next time when we talk about
I would just want to take the time to appreciate Mr. Omar for taking time out of his schedule to come and do this podcast. And Mr. Omar, you are greatly appreciated.
Yeah, of course. No problem. No problem. Anytime.